Hey guys, this is Nikki with Techie Zeddy. In our group, we had a conversation thread about these tape recorder selectors, which is really cool. I mean, these are understated equipment. No one ever really make a big deal about these things because they're just passive, equipment. But you know what? Just like with tape decks and whatnot, these are getting, I wouldn't say harder to find, but they're related to tape decks because most receivers, amplifiers, they don't have that many tape deck or tape loops or tape inputs. In my case, I actually only have two, and I'm on a Nakamichi TA3A. Now the TA4A actually has three, so that's kind of cool. Not only that, but some of the more modern receivers, they only have one tape loop. That not only that, but it's not even a true tape loop because it doesn't let you monitor. So that could be a problem. And with this one, I can, because you can just, you can actually select what you want, you want it to record. As you can see here, like what's the source. And so let's say I was recording from the CD, I can still hit the tape and it would let you actually listen to the tape even though it's still recording the CD. Whereas of course if you don't have that feature, what will happen is if you you're supposed to hit CD to record the CD to the deck, but then as soon as you hit tape 1, it just stops recording. It just stops outputting the CD output to the deck. So more so than ever, if you have a more modern receiver, something like this would be important. Now, this is overkill. The one I got is really made for reel-to-reel, so it's really heavy duty, but it basically served the same purpose. A lot of people look at this and their eyes glaze over, and to be honest, mine did too. But it's actually pretty easy to understand. I can't get to the back because I got all these things connected. You know what? Screw it. I'll do it. Alright guys, I just disconnected it. These things are labeled, so hopefully I can reconnect this without any issues. So here it is. And here's the back of it. It's actually not that difficult to understand. Tape recorder from line in, tape recorder from line out. You can see those are the sections for your tape in and line in and line out of your tape recorders. Of course, your amplifier or your receiver will also have an in and an out, and as you can see, they're clearly marked here and there. Okay, so it's actually pretty simple to connect up. Now, of course, I would plug this into tape 1 of my receiver tape loop. And it's as simple as saying, hey, I want to listen to deck 1, deck 2, or deck 3. And I have it labeled here so I know exactly what selector goes to which of my decks. And the interesting thing is you could loop it back on itself by going to source. Now what that is whatever is going out through the record out of your amplifier, you can hear it. So that's interesting. It just loops it back. So this is just to monitor, going out to whatever's going out to your amplifier or receiver. So what's all this? Well, if you want to play back, so this is for dubbing. So if you want to play back your tape or your source as deck 1, deck 2, or deck 3, which is corresponding to that, you can say, hey, deck 1, I want you to output, instead of going out to, instead of whatever the receiver end, because you know the receiver record out, which is right here. Typically, if you leave it like that, up, you know, the circuit open, you're actually recording whatever's coming in from the receiver. But now if I were to say from tape 1, I want you to dub to tape 2, deck number 2 would go, like whatever is coming out from deck 1 will go to deck 2, and deck 2 will basically not be connected to your amplifier. So now you have a direct connection between deck 1 to deck 2. And what's even cooler yet, as you can already notice, you can record from deck 1 to 2 other decks. So you can make 2 copies rather than just 1. And of course, if you do that, you're just looping it back, which does really nothing. Of course. Of course, same principle applies to deck 2. If you want to make 2 copies, that's how you do it. And of course, deck 3. So it's actually not that hard to operate, to understand how to operate. When you're not dubbing, of course, when you're just listening, none of this really matters. And this just controls, you know, what is the source? Are you going to record from the receiver, which has multiple inputs too for stuff like your tuner, your CD player, your video auxiliary or whatever, just like on my Nakamichi you saw I had, or phonograph turntable. Or if you push one in, now you're directly connected to whatever is, you know, tape to tape. So it's all within this box. It's not going through the receiver at all once one of these is pressed in. So deck 2 is now source is actually one of these tape decks, not from the receiver. Okay, so that's it. All right, guys. So I reconnected this back up. Okay, and so let's demonstrate. So let me put this back to 1. All of it there. So I connected it to tape 1 of my Nakamichi TA3A. Record out is off, so that means no matter what I'm doing, there's no signal going up to the record out. I will be using a Chrome Maxima 2 for my playback. I'm going to be using the Nakamichi RX202 as my source deck. I always said that this is my favorite playback only deck, even though this does decent recordings too. But it's no, you know, it doesn't have like the calibration, you know, stuff from on the JVC or the Nakamichi ZX7. So I don't typically use it for recording. But I like the fact that it's auto reverse, so I use it for all my playback. All right, so let's see. It is no Dolby on this thing, and it is 100 and no, it's a 70 milliseconds. Okay. I'm going to lower the volume, but tape 1 is selected, and that is to this selector itself. Monitor 1 right now because that's a tape. If I switch, you can hear it's nothing. Alright, so these guys right now is monitoring tape, as you can see. That's why there is nothing. I am going to hit monitor there. So now that's monitoring the source. And I'm going to do the same for this. Monitoring the source. Now, remember my record out, well actually it doesn't really matter because they're all in the same loop. Okay? Well, let me actually go back to this for a little bit. As you can see, even this guy has a ability to dub tape from deck 1 to 2 or 2 to 1, which is called copy. And that is to copy from these two. This is connected to my computer though. So, because it is also input output device. So, music is going. And these are now on source, so they're listening. Right now I have it select from tape 1. Now if I were to do to tape 2, you can see the VU meter is moving, although this is kind of a quiet part. Great. Nothing on the Nakamichi right now. Now, let's say I say, no, I don't want to dub it there. I want to dub it to 3, which is my ZX7. Now you can see my JVC VU meters aren't doing a thing. But now my ZX7 is moving along. Now if I had 2 blank tapes and I want to actually record from there, on both of these, I can just go 2 and 3. I just pushed it down. Now they're both going. So I can make 2 copies of this tape. So that's really cool. And potentially it can make 3 copies of this tape because my receiver lets me do that. So I can do something like switch this to record out selector to 1 to 2. So now, because my source is this this RX202 to my selector box, which is connected to tape 1, and I'm selecting tape 1 to output to 2. If I had a tape recorder also connected to tape 2, I can now record on 3 decks. Or I can make all of these recording and then I can just switch this to 2 to 1, and then I can make tape 2 my playback source. Like, since it's connected to my computer, I can put on like what? Google Play Music, and then make 3 of the exact same mixtape if I really wanted to. So that's really cool. So that's it right there. That's what this that's a video about a tape selector. Sony Tapecorder Selector to be specific, which is the one I have, and Realistic, which is a brand name used by Radio Shack, actually have a couple different models too. An earlier one where it's a bunch of switches and a diagram to show you where all the lines go. I would love to have that version because, and I do actually, I just purchased one, so it's on its way. I might do a video on that, but a lot of people don't like it because it's just too complicated, but I love it. My mind works that way, and I think I told the guys, it's easy to follow the diagrams for me, so I picked this up pretty quick. And because you can follow the lines, you have lots more possibilities to do. You can do things like, I can probably do this too if I force it, but you can probably play 2 decks at the same time. I wouldn't recommend it because then you're putting, it's not only you're putting 2 signals into the same output into your receiver, but you can potentially blow it out because the voltage spikes on those can be devastating if both of your sources are outputting positive or negative values at the same time. So don't do that. Realistic also makes a version where it's a bunch of dials, so it simplifies things. And I'm gonna put it all in the picture here, hopefully. So yeah, that's it. Take care, guys. Bye.